I couldn't come last year, which was a shame, but I still won. Do you remember?
How do you insult the biggest celebrities in the world right to their faces and somehow get invited back again? That's the part that still doesn't make sense, because most hosts try to keep the room happy. Ricky Gervais walks in like he's there to test how much awkward silence Hollywood can survive. And somehow, every single time, it works. He doesn't beg for laughs, and he doesn't dress the joke up to make it feel safe. He just says the thing everyone else was too careful to say. And the second he does, the cameras start catching those tiny reactions all over the room. That frozen smile, that fake laugh, that look that says, "Please do not bring me into this next." And that's exactly why people can't stop watching.
Okay, were you in the audience for any of Ricky's Golden Globes?
Several times. It was a little bit...
I think it cuts to you in one of them.
I think when you talk about Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know why you had to me.
I feel like a strippergram.
Who's got $1?
That's it.
How long have you had the sore throat?
Just a couple of days.
See, now I had a sore throat around the holidays.
It's all about you, isn't it? It's all about you.
Yeah.
From the very start, Ricky makes it clear this is not going to be a gentle celebrity love-in. But he reminds the room that he missed the previous year, then casually twists that into a flex. It's arrogant, playful, and just smug enough to get a laugh before the real damage even begins. And that's the trick with Ricky. He never sounds nervous. He sounds comfortable, which somehow makes the joke hit even harder. Even people sitting in the audience know what kind of danger zone they're in when he's hosting. Because with Ricky, one random setup can suddenly turn into a headline. One throwaway comment can turn into the moment everybody talks about the next day. And here's the part people miss. Half the tension comes from the fact that the celebrities know it too.
Available for streaming.
I've never seen you so animated. That was amazing.
Thank you. On Netflix.
I thought you were giving up.
Okay.
I honestly just thought you were seeing this out, biding the time out. I was thinking of I Wouldn't Be Long Till I Was There. And now...
you think maybe I should? Maybe,
no, you've got a second win. Go for it.
Referring to the I Love You, Philip Morris movie, you said, two heterosexual actors pretending to be gay, so the complete opposite of some famous Scientologist then. Wink, wink.
I didn't name them.
Then he moves into one of his most dangerous habits, which is joking about the exact public controversies most people in that room would rather pretend never happened. Mel Gibson is the perfect example, because Ricky doesn't just tap the subject and move on. He keeps walking straight toward it. What could have been a polite intro becomes one more setup, and suddenly the entire room is waiting to see just how far he's actually going to go. That's what makes Ricky different from the average awards show comedian. A lot of hosts tease celebrities. Ricky corners them with a smile. He makes the room laugh first, then lets everybody realize a second later what he really just said. And when the joke touches a past scandal or a reported public meltdown, he plays it like the audience already knows the backstory, because most of them do.
Look at his stupid face. Couldn't actually win one of his own, so he stole someone else's. I don't think that is actually the original Emmy. I think that's a shoddy remake. Where is he? Where is he? Oh, there in the front row. Just...
And somehow, even after all that, he still doesn't back off. He turns awkwardness into momentum. He makes it feel like the discomfort is the whole point. One minute he's acting like he's just doing his job. The next, he's dragging the room into another line that sounds way too reckless to say out loud. But then, he says it anyway. That's why his Mel Gibson moment stayed so memorable. Not because they were just mean, but because Ricky kept the tension alive instead of killing it with a safe exit. He let the silence breathe. He let the audience sit in that little shock. And once that happens, the laugh gets louder because people know they just watched someone get away with something bold.
I made a joke about Mel Gibson getting a bit drunk and saying a few unsavoury things. We've all done it. I wasn't judging him, but now I find myself in the awkward position of having to introduce him again. Listen, I'm sure it's embarrassing for both of us, okay? And I blame NBC for this terrible situation. Mel blames, we know Mel blames. Oh yeah, okay, here you go. I'd rather have a drink with him in his hotel room tonight than with Bill Cosby. Please, Malcolm, Mel Gibson!
Then Ricky switches targets, and that's where it gets even better. Because it's one thing to roast someone wrapped in controversy. Now, it's another thing to roast people the audience genuinely loves. When Tom Hanks and Tim Allen come up, the room expects warmth, respect, maybe a nostalgic little setup. Ricky gives them a setup, sure, but not the kind they were hoping for. He does this constantly. He lets the audience think they know where the intro is going, then flips it right at the last second. The joke lands because it sounds simple, almost too simple, but that's exactly why it works. He doesn't need 10 lines. He just needs one sharp turn. And suddenly, the whole room is laughing before it even catches up. Interview. What makes those moments even stronger is when the celebrities answer back. Because once that happens, the bit stops feeling like a speech and starts feeling like a live exchange. Ricky isn't just talking at Hollywood, but he's dragging Hollywood into the joke with him. And when legends are standing there smiling through it, that only makes his confidence look bigger. That same energy carries over when Johnny Depp comes into the frame. Ricky sees the public image, the costumes, the larger-than-life persona, and he finds the one angle that turns all of it into a punchline. He doesn't over-explain it. He just nudges the image one inch further into absurdity, and that's enough.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
I think we all want the answer to this. What the fuck does sugar tits even mean?
I don't know. Ask the guy that said it. It wasn't me.
Mel's forgotten all about it, apparently. That's what drinking does. No. I want to say something nice about Mel before he comes out. So
I love seeing Ricky once every 3 years because it reminds me to get a colonoscopy.
And then, just when you think he'll move on, he pivots again. Angelina Jolie becomes part of the bit, and Ricky takes celebrity image-making and turns it into something way more uncomfortable. He frames fame through the eyes of ordinary people, and suddenly the glamour feels less glamorous. That's always been one of his sharpest moves. He doesn't just mock a person, but he mocks the entire machine built around them. That's why his jokes linger. They're not always just about one celebrity. They're about status, image, money, and the weird fantasy world award shows try so hard to protect. Ricky keeps puncturing that bubble over and over again, and every time he does, the room laughs. But it also gets a little quieter.
The other is Tim Allen.
And the two of them went on stage together and responded to Ricky's joke.
We recall back when Ricky Gervais was a slightly chubby but very kind comedian.
Yeah. Neither of which is he now.
Then he turns toward Steve Carell, and this one has that special Ricky flavor because it's dressed up like fake professional jealousy. He knows the audience connects both of them to The Office. He knows people adore Steve. So Ricky plays with that tension, acting like he's watching his own idea get celebrated through somebody else's face. It's petty on purpose, and that's what makes it funny. But here's the part people miss. Ricky loves jokes where he can sound half serious. He wants the audience to wonder, just for a second, if there's a tiny grain of real irritation buried inside the punchline. That little uncertainty gives the joke extra life. Is he kidding? Of course. Is he also enjoying the sting? Absolutely.
Please welcome the man who will wear literally anything Tim Burton tells him to, Johnny Depp. Have you... Ready?
I guess so.
Have you seen The Tourist yet?
No. Oh, boy, he's fun.
He does the same thing with awards themselves. Ricky never treats trophies like sacred objects. He treats them like shiny little excuses for people to cry on television. That's why even when he talks about winning, losing, or announcing a name, he sounds like he's mocking the whole ritual from inside the ritual. And somehow that irreverence only makes people watch harder. When he acts disappointed while revealing the actual winner, that becomes part of the bit too. Nothing is allowed to stay noble for long when Ricky is holding the mic. Not the award, not the speech, not the prestige, not even the room's own self-importance. And that's where it gets messy, because plenty of people in that audience live off prestige.
And you get a glimpse of a Hollywood star, and it makes you feel better, okay? You could be a little child, a little Asian child, with no possessions and no money. But you see a picture of Angelina Jolie, and you think, oh, Mummy.
Then Ricky moves into one of his most effective areas, celebrity activism and public image. Jennifer Lawrence's equal pay comments became huge news, and Ricky doesn't try to debate the issue like a politician. He does what he always does. He reframes it through everyday people. He turns the contrast into the joke. Nurses, factory workers, plumbers, regular people hearing giant numbers and wondering what exactly counts as struggle in Hollywood. That's the edge of Ricky's comedy. He takes a topic that sounds serious, yet then zooms out and shows how absurd it might look from a completely different angle. He's not giving a lecture. He's creating collision. Celebrity reality meets ordinary reality, and the punchline comes from the gap between them.
You probably know me as the creator of The Office. No, you don't, do you? You think Steve Carell did it all? Oh, he's brilliant, isn't he, Steve Carell? He's amazing as the bumbling office manager. Where does he get his ideas from? Let's pay him hundreds of millions of dollars and put him in every movie. Look at his stupid face. Couldn't actually win one of his own, so he stole someone else's. I don't think that is actually the original Emmy. I think that's a shoddy remake. Where is he? Where is he? Oh, there in the front row. Just...
Ricky Gervais couldn't be here tonight, so instead we're going to give this to our friend Steve Carell.
Leonardo DiCaprio gets hit next, and Ricky goes straight for the joke the whole world already knows. Not talent, not awards, not prestige. Dating history, age gaps, the passage of time. Ricky knows if a public pattern becomes a meme, it's fair game for the room. So he wraps it into a movie joke, lets it breathe for a second, and then lets the audience do the rest. That's why his jokes travel so fast afterward. They don't need a huge explanation. The audience already brings half the context with them. Ricky just lights the fuse. And once that fuse is lit, even a polished red carpet can suddenly feel like the setup to something a little more dangerous. Interview. Outside the awards stage, he's just as sharp. That's what makes his interviews so unpredictable. He's not protected by a giant monologue there. He has to react in real time. And that's when you see how natural the rhythm really is. Joy Behar pushes him on one of his comments, and instead of folding, he turns the pushback into another joke. That's risky, because live conversation can go wrong fast. But Ricky knows how to stay calm, while the other person does the emotional work for him. He reframes. He waits. Then he lands something quick and strange enough to reset the whole exchange. It feels effortless, but it's actually precise timing.
I couldn't come last year, which is a shame, but I still won. Do you remember? Don't cry. It's pathetic. It's just an award.
The same thing happens with Piers Morgan. At a conversation that could have drifted into a long, serious debate, suddenly gets hijacked by one perfectly timed Ricky line. He waits until the explanation has gone on just long enough, then drops a joke so clean it wipes the whole tone of the segment in one shot. That's not luck. That's instinct. And it tells you something important about why Ricky works. He understands that the laugh gets stronger when the room thinks it's about to become a lecture. He lets seriousness build just enough pressure, then punctures it before anybody can settle in. That pop is where the joke lives.
Jennifer Lawrence made the news when she demanded equal pay for women in Hollywood, and she received, overwhelming support from people everywhere. There were marches on the street with nurses and factory workers saying, how the hell can a 25-year-old live on 52 million? There were plumbers around the world going, poor girl in town, I'm lucky now.
But his most explosive moments come when he points at the darker stories orbiting the industry. And this is where the line matters. When Ricky references Jeffrey Epstein, or makes jokes tied to reported scandals involving powerful names, and he's not presenting court findings from the podium, he's playing off public reporting, public reputation, and the terror of a room that knows exactly what he's referencing. That's why those jokes land with a different kind of shock. They're not just punchlines. They're reminders that fame, awards, and applause don't erase suspicion, don't erase headlines, and definitely don't erase fear. And when Ricky says he knows someone in that room might be uncomfortable, that's when the audience starts looking around instead of just laughing forward.
Even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you're nearly 50, son.
The Ronan Farrow line works for the same reason. It turns the room itself into the joke. Suddenly, it's not just about one celebrity. It's about executives, gatekeepers, insiders, and the feeling that some of the most powerful people there might be more nervous than the nominees. If Ricky takes an elegant awards room and makes it feel like everybody's checking the exits, then he twists it again with a line about Bird Box and looking the other way, tying it to reported industry behavior that had already become part of wider public conversation. And once again, the joke isn't safe. It's not supposed to be. He wants the audience laughing and squirming at the same time.
Once upon a time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long, Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him.
By the time he tells celebrities not to turn their awards into political speeches, the room already knows he came loaded for chaos. He tells them to thank their agent, thank their God, and get off the stage. It's rude, funny, blunt, and weirdly satisfying to a lot of people watching from home. Because whether you agree with him or not, you know exactly what he means. And that's been a huge part of Ricky's power in these rooms. But he says things that sound like they came from outside the celebrity bubble, not inside it. He sounds like the one guy in the building who isn't hypnotized by fame. Real or not, that's the energy he brings, and audiences respond to it fast.
They said keep it quick, just go and sit down.
Oh, okay, so we can touch it?
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, wow, we just thought you were lucky.
I feel like a strippergram. Who's got $1?
You know, referring to Sex and the City too, you said, I was sure the Golden Globe would go to the team that airbrushed that poster.
Yeah.
A little sexist.
No, it's not. Why is it sexist?
Well, because you're saying that the girls are older and they need to be airbrushed.
No, I think they look great at their age.
Oh.
Why hide it?
Oh.
I don't think that you lose your sensuality or your beauty because you hit 53. I'm saying, why are they hiding
That's fine.
it?
Referring to the I Love You, Philip Morris movie, you said, two heterosexual actors pretending to be gay, so the complete opposite of some famous Scientologist then. Wink, wink.
I didn't name them.
Even when he drifts toward rumor-heavy material, he usually does it through exaggeration and absurdity instead of pretending it's hard fact. The Justin Bieber paternity joke is framed like tabloid chaos, not a verified accusation. The Will Smith line after the Chris Rock incident was built around public gossip and headline culture, not a courtroom conclusion. That distinction matters. And with Ricky, it's usually clear the joke is targeting the public narrative around a celebrity moment. Still, that doesn't make it feel any less dangerous in the room. Because once he says it, everybody knows tomorrow's headlines are already writing themselves. And Ricky knows that too. He knows the line that gets the gasp is usually the one people will replay the most.
Kinder egg, you know, those little eggs with little toys in, because it may choke me, so they're a health hazard. But where the Kinder egg would be sold in a British store, they instead have an AR-15 assault rifle.
Dear America, please let Piers buy a Kinder egg.
Why didn't you do more than 12 episodes?
Because I was tired. I think that tired. I need to lie down. I got the attention span of a toddler. I can't believe you've done this show this long. I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either.
I can tell your heart's not in it anymore.
No,
but
That's why Ricky Gervais keeps standing apart from almost every other awards show host. He doesn't come in to protect egos. He comes in to test them. He doesn't smooth over tension. He sharpens it. He doesn't pretend the room is sacred. He treats it like a stage full of people who built careers being looked at, then acts shocked when they don't enjoy being looked at too closely. And somehow, that's exactly why the clips never die. Because deep down, people aren't just watching celebrities get roasted. They're watching a room full of power get reminded for one strange little moment that laughter can still make it blink. And so now the question is simple. If Ricky gets another shot at a room like that, who do you think he'd go after next?
Yeah.
Hey, you try it.
No, I can't.
Come on. This will get rid of
This, sorry,
Huh?
how is this not a breakdown? What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you
I'm trying to help you.
That's amazing.